Hello, everyone. Welcome to Inside Talk Show. I'm Carla Elizondo. Happy Tuesday. We're continuing the reading of Awaken Imagination. Today's the last day. We're on chapter 8, the final chapter of Neville Goddard's Awakened Imagination. Chapter 8, The Apple of God's Eye. What think ye of the Christ? Whose son is he? When this question is asked of you, let your answer be, Christ is my imagination. And though I see not yet all things put under him, yet I know that I am Mary, from whom sooner or later he shall be born, and eventually do all things through Christ. Do all things through Christ. The birth of Christ is the awakening of the inner second man. It is becoming conscious of the mental activity within oneself, The birth of Christ is the awakening of the inner or second man. It is becoming conscious of the mental activity within oneself, which activity constitutes whether we are conscious of it or not. Yes, which activity constitutes whether we are conscious of it or not. Activity is happening, whether we know it or not, whether we like it or not. That's why it's so important to wake up to it. That's what he's saying. And that's when Christ in us, the Lord in us, is activated and we are actually living from our true self, our second self. That's why a lot of times you hear the Greek philosophers, we must die to our old selves daily, die to that old man to rise again into the newness, be renewed, renewing of your mind daily. The birth of Christ does not bring any person from a distance or make anything to be that was not there before. It is an unveiling of the Son of God in man. The Lord cometh in clouds is the prophet's description of the pulsating rings of golden liquid light on the head of him in whom he awakens. The coming is from within and not from without, as Christ is in us. This great mystery, God was manifest in the flesh, begins with Advent, and it is appropriate that the cleansing of the temple, which temple ye are, stands in the forefront of the Christian mysteries. The kingdom of heaven is within you. Advent is unveiling the mystery of your being. If you will practice the art of revision by a life lived according to the wise imaginative use of your inner speech and inner actions, in confidence that by the conscious use of the power that worketh within us, Christ will awaken in you. If you believe it, trust it, act upon it, Christ will awake in you. This is Advent. Great is the mystery of God. Great is the mystery. God was manifest in the flesh. From Advent on, he that toucheth you toucheth the apple of God's eye. That, my friends, was the last very short chapter of Awakened Imagination. So what did we learn? So much. If you missed any of the previous readings, please go back there in the feed. You can go into the toggle over to the IGTV, because I know I post a lot. I break these up and put them in little bite-sized chunks. But if you go over to the IG portion of mine or my YouTube channel, which all the links are in the bio link above, or you might be watching this on YouTube. So I post them all. So you can literally listen to these books and kind of see where I'm at with the translation of them, how I understand them today. And my understanding of them today will be different than my understanding of them in a few months. And that's the beautiful thing. These readings can seem very esoteric or out there or not within grasp. I know at first when I dive into these books, I roll my eyes. I roll my intellectual eyes because I think this is too much. And everything in me goes, I don't need that. I know that. I've read something like that before. But that whole I know mentality is the death of growth and knowledge. We must daily dive in daily to daily study. I am starting my new daily study group. It's a private Facebook group, but it's for, the people who are doing this work with me, my clients, of course. So if you're ever interested, please sign on. This daily work is so important. We run calls Monday through Friday every morning to really dive into Neville Goddard primarily. And of course, we have our daily homework, accountability, weekly calls, kind of masterminding, assignments. It's a whole 6-month, really deep dive. People stay on, they renew. It's pretty much just when you learn how to live this way of life and understand the benefits it has on your inner peace, there is no other way to live. And there are times where that little voice, Neville calls it the old man. It's used in the Bible as well. That little voice that tries to pull us back. The fearful part that doesn't want us to grow and move forward. But remember, we're always either dying or we're growing. There is no middle ground. Movement happens whether we know it or not. Life is in constant motion. It doesn't stop for us. We must be growing daily. And it's uncomfortable because we're growing, but not growing is uncomfortable too, because we're uncomfortable in where the stagnation of waking up in Groundhog's Day. So yeah, Awaken Imagination, we learned that our imagination is God. We need to awaken to it, die to our old selves. There was this really good kind of aha I had of even me doing this daily for the past 2 or 3 years. There is always another level of humility. There is always another level of surrender. And when I'm personally up against a new growth level, like a new floor, I tend to get very fearful, closed off, defensive, prideful, talking too much, trying to make up for things, like even if it's through humor, like, oh yeah, I'm cool, I'm good. It's like, it's a way for me to hide and to not be humble and say, I don't know, I'm ready for this new next level, coming with an empty rice bowl, coming with a childlike mind, leaving everything I know in the past and coming empty. And that is work. But guess what else is work? Carrying the load of all the past as well. Life is never without challenge, ever. If you're waiting for a point in your life where you're like, finally, now I can just relax, that will never happen. And I know at first it might be like, I was reading a book. This is an old book I got years ago. And this just is proof that when you're ready to hear the message, it comes at you. So I had a book on my shelf. It was from Wayne Dyer, Dr. Wayne Dyer, called Erroneous Zones. Cheesy cover, him on the front, Erroneous Zones. I'm sure he could have picked a better title. But it is so good. It is so good. And it was just exactly what I needed. And it was, what was the point I was making? But it was just talking about how we can really get in our way with pride. I'll remember it. But another takeaway I received was, we like to be in control. We meaning me. I don't know if you can relate. I don't like to move forward until I know there's a little bit of security or assurance. We want that insurance package. We want to know that what we're doing is the right thing. And that takes discerning. That's getting quiet and going inside. And one thing that came up for me was discerning my will from God's will. And yes, I have free will. Sure, I can follow my will. That ultimately does not work with God and nature. So this will never work. It might work to an extent, but it will never eventually overall work. I must surrender, die to that old self, and be renewed in God's will, the greater will for not just me, but for the world. And if you can see, so this is what I asked myself, but I ask you, whatever direction you're going in life, if you can see the whole staircase, even if you can see the next flight of stairs, you're on the wrong staircase. If you can see the next 4 or 5 steps in front of you, you're in the wrong stairwell. Because when you are in flow, in all that there is, in the God infinite, the biggest version of yourself, you can only see the step you're on. And that's scary. That's why only such a small amount of people actually live in faith. Faith being a verb. I thought I lived in faith. I did not. I was so smacked up with like a reality of like, whoa, you can do a lot of this personal development work, but yet still not get that important message. I like to be in control, and it's scary, but we are only the next step is revealed. And only until we have the faith will the next step be revealed. That's, you can call it living in, that's scary, but you're already living in something scary, going in a direction that is not making you truly fulfilled or happy, or giving you the result you thought it was going to give you, because that's your will. So I just ask you again, can you see the whole staircase? If you can't, you're on the wrong staircase. We have to go into faith. And that calls for, a lot of deep work. So I hope that message resonated. I love Awakened Imagination, awakening that part in us that's been sleeping, like the sleeping giant inside of you. Tony Robbins talks about this, awakening the giant within. And that's really what this is. All of these personal development books, all of these, ancient scriptures from antiquity, philosophy, Eastern, Western, doesn't matter. When you read the truth, when you hear the truth, you know it. And they're all saying the same thing. All that is God, the universe, the highest self, the, Buddha consciousness, Krishna consciousness, Christ consciousness is within us. It's not outside of us. And another harsh truth, which I realized a while ago, but I forget, right? We forget. A lot of times even today, we talk about victim mentality. A victim, oh, that's just victim mentality. They're a victim, oh, blah, blah. But have you looked at yourself? I had to really look at myself. And the harsh truth was, when I am living from the outside in, at any moment when I think something outside of me is in control and I am at effect, that something outside of me is not within my control, I'm a victim. Automatically. That is the pure definition of a victim. We are at the effect of some sort of, antagonistic, fill in the blank. We have got to understand that we are the captain of our soul, the master of our fate. We are in control. And we have to live from the inside out, because that is how nature works. We have to obey the law. We have to work with the laws of nature. God is law. When we don't obey the law, we suffer the consequences, period. And I had I'm probably not alone here, just a problem with authority, because I was scared, I didn't trust. And that manifested in many ways when I was growing up. But really, I didn't trust the authority, the ultimate authority, the creator. And I really railed against authority, but I paid the price. I paid the price. And it wasn't until I had to totally surrender. And it's a daily process. It's not something of one and done. I did it, now I'm good. No. Look at the challenges that will always be there as exciting growth opportunities, a newness, the spice of life, excitement. There's always another level. There is no finish line. We are in this race until our last breath. And we can either make it fun and joyous and meet friends along the way and surprise ourselves and help others in the process, or we can begrudgingly, painfully, complainingly truck along. But the treadmill will move, whether we're happy or upset about it. I hope that made sense. As always, I appreciate all of your love and support. We are into our second year now here. We just celebrated our first year, 500 followers and supporters, and I'm so grateful. As always, I'm really, really looking to build a community of people who are dedicated to daily study, who are really ready to make the investment, not just with time, but with money too, because nothing in life is free. And I had to learn that the hard way. I thought I could get away with doing this, doing that. Like, you get what you pay for. And it's really bigger than that. It's an investment in yourself. Symbolically, it's a really big thing. So if you're interested in any services that I offer, please click the link in my profile page and set up a free call. I can answer any questions you have, and it would be my pleasure to do so. So I look forward to meeting all of you and continuing all of the readings. We're going to jump into another one of Neville's books. I'm not sure which one yet, but we will start tomorrow. So I'm excited. Have a wonderful Tuesday.